Welcome to my channel. It's me. And today I'll be telling you the story of a girl named Regan who was possessed by the devil. This is The Exorcist. The year is 1949 and Georgetown is like any other neighborhood in Washington, D.C., except for one thing. Like doors opening and closing on their own, objects moving, and even books falling off the shelf. Now Regan acts strangely, not just around her mother, but also her family's handyman, Burke Dennant, and her psychiatrist, Dr. Barris. At times, she behaves like a little girl. But then there are other times when she seems to go insane. She screams, throws tantrums, levitates above her bed and speaks in different voices, all while being completely nude. One of their priests, Father Damien Carez, is losing his faith and struggling to live a good, holy life. His relationship with God is suffering. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in Iraq, another priest, Father William P. H. Marin, is busy fighting the devil. Just as she begins to think that everything will be all right, Regan begins acting out again. But this time, she appears to be even more violent than before. Her eyes turn black, and she becomes extremely aggressive, even attacking her own mother. Although no one else can see what's going on, Chris knows that her daughter isn't the same. When Chris comes to, she immediately goes to look for Regan. But when she can't find her, she calls Father Carez, who has this to say: "Your daughter is gone, but not for long. I'm sorry, Chris, but you must let me do this. For your sake and for hers." He's working with Iraqi forces who are currently trying to remove several demonic statues from a newly discovered dig site. As Father Carez enters the room, the walls themselves seem to tremble with rage. Regan sits calmly in the corner, but once the priest gets closer, she attacks. With superhuman strength, she knocks him to the ground and stands over him triumphantly. All she can do is shake it off as the old house simply settling. Father Carez follows after her, determined to end this nightmare once and for all. When he hears a loud bang come from the other room, he drops his glass and runs to help his friend, and send it back to hell, where it belongs. However, the victory came at a cost. Father Carez lost his life protecting Chris from harm. The priest tries to remain calm, but he knows he has a lot of work to do. The two priests chant Latin prayers while Regan writhes on the floor, seemingly in great pain. The film itself was based on an actual series of events which occurred in St. Louis in 1949. Although the story is fictional, many people believe that the devil did, in fact, whisper through the voice of a child. Finally, they are able to get her to leave the room, and as they walk down the hallway, she taunts them. Marin consoles him and tells him that he doesn't understand the true power of the Lord. "We must continue," he says. She is too far gone. She looks at the two men before her and cries, "You tricked me. You lied to me. I hate you." Then she looks over at Regan and begs her to come back. "I'm sorry I called those priests here," she says. "If you want to leave, I won't stop you. But please, please come back." With that, she lunges forward and scratches Father Morel across the face. The wound immediately begins to bleed, and the priest screams in pain. Marin does so himself, and shortly after, the town is instantly healed. Realizing what he had done, he curses the statues and destroys them. When Chris wakes up, she finds that her entire house is in ruins and somehow Regan has vanished. "Regan, it's time to come out now," Father Carez says. "Your reign is over. Come home, Regan. We want to help you." A moment of silence. "Regan, please come out. Please." Slowly, the door begins to open. When she's finished, he thanks her for her time and leaves to go pray. When he returns later that day, he tells Chris that he believes he can help Regan. But first, He wants to ask her a few questions. As she steps outside to look for her, she's suddenly met by Father Karras. From here, he returns home to Maryland, where he will soon meet Father Karras. As she runs to the bedroom, she sees a shocking sight. Just as he tells her that he plans to perform an exorcism, she faints. Father Karras rushes to her side and comforts her as best he can. Then he turns to look out the window. Regan is floating above her bed, twisting and turning, seemingly unable to control herself. When she finally lands back on the bed, Chris immediately calls Drive Bars, who rushes to the house. He listens intently to what's going on and asks if anything like this has happened before. After Chris tells him yes, he decides to run a few tests, although he secretly has no idea what's really going on. That is until she finds out what's really going on with her 12-year-old daughter, Regan. There's this one house where something horrible is about to happen. Inside lives a single mother and her young daughter, Chris and Regan McNeil. Chris is an actress who's currently working on her latest film. She has just returned home after spending some time away at a hotel. However, he recommends that she stays under observation in a hospital just in case. Chris agrees, and that night they drive her to the clinic where she'll stay for the next few weeks. At first she believes nothing is wrong. But as the days pass, she begins to notice odd things happening around the house. Chris doesn't know this, but ever since she first brought Regan into the house, something evil had latched onto the child. One night, Chris hears her daughter screaming at the top of her lungs. After examining Regan, Drive Bard admits that he can find nothing physically wrong with her. Meanwhile, the Catholic Church is having a problem of its own. As soon as the statues are taken away, the locals become violently ill and the priests decide they must return them. Back at the clinic, Chris is watching over her daughter day and night. She decides to bring her home again, and that night, Regan attacks her and knocks her unconscious. Chris explains to him what has been happening, and he listens intently as she speaks. Chris answers each one honestly, and eventually Father Karras admits that he believes her daughter is possessed by the devil. He knows that somewhere out there, the devil is laughing. And so the exorcism begins. "You may have come to save me, but I don't need saving," she says. "I am the devil." With the help of Father Marin, they slowly begin to weaken her hold on the house. "Do you think you've won? You fools, I am the devil. I am here to stay." She laughs hysterically as she disappears into the bathroom. Now alone, Father Karras turns to Father Marin and admits that he never believed this would actually work. They both turn back toward the bathroom door and knock. Out comes a drenched and bloody Regan. Chris runs to her husband's side and helps him to stand. From here, Regan turns around and flees down the hallway where she continues to scream and thrash about. Meanwhile, Father Merwin tends to his wounds and waits for the coast to clear. As the story goes, the two priests were able to subdue the demon inside Regan. When Chris learned of her sacrifice, she cried, "Father Karras was right. I never stopped believing." Thank you. So what's the lesson here? Well, the answer might be simple. Sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we can't see. As I said before, this is just a retelling of the classic horror film The Exorcist. In the end, though, that's for you to decide. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section below. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to check out my channel. And as always, remember John shot first.